Rev up your engines! Well, as if they don't have enough already, the 2021 Ford F150 is having a scale built in so you can actually weigh the load in your bed without guessing. Now, the display can either be on your info screen in the truck, or if you're in the back, you can put it on your phone so you can look at it while you're loading it. Or even, believe it or not, on the LED tail lights on the back. You know how it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when your battery's charged up? Same thing. Not to the pound, but it'll show you if you're getting near the limit or have passed the limit. And if you overloaded, they flash on and off to warn you. Pretty interesting. And they're also putting a new continuously adaptable damping on the shock absorbing system so that they ride better. They keep improving the F-150s. That's why they sell so many of them. So if you want to weigh your bed without having to go to a weigh station, guess what? You get an F-150, it'll do the weighing for you. Crisp and Bacon says, "Hey Scotty, I'm from New York. Is a 2015 to 16 Toyota Camry SE a good buy for $8 grand? Well, everything's expensive in New York City, and everything is expensive for used cars because of this coronavirus. I just did a video on it. The prices are getting so high, it's astronomical and ridiculous. They're great cars, and since they have coated them, you really don't have to worry about rust in them in New York. My mother's got an 07 Toyota Corolla, and it has no rust on it. She lived in Buffalo. It could be a good car. The price is just between you and whoever's selling it. And the prices have gone up, and really, if the market's that way, there's nothing you can do about it." Randy Ramirez says, "Why can't Honda make good Odyssey vans like their Accords, Civics, CRVs, and other vehicles? Originally, they were okay, but they had all kinds of automatic transmission problems, and that kind of finished it off for the average person. If you buy a car and the transmission goes out, they fixed a lot of them for free and replaced them for a lot of people, but most of those deals are gone. They won't do it anymore. And a lot of them also had engine problems with the cams having problems. They didn't build them right. I don't know. All I gotta say is Honda is basically a small car manufacturer. They're great at cars. And the van is basically a truck they weren't that great on. That's probably why. They should have just stuck to cars and not get into vans where that wasn't their expertise." Steve Allen says, "Scotty, I'm thinking about buying a 2012 Infiniti FX35 with 60,000 miles for $11K. Is it a good deal?" Well, like I say, prices are up. 60,000 miles isn't much. I'm not a fan of buying used fancy Infinitis, but that's because they generally fall apart when they get 120, 130, 140,000 miles. If you're not going to drive that many miles and it really only has 60K and it can be proven, it could be a fun car to drive around for a while. Because for $11,000 these days, you're not going to get much for a car. Just realize it's not going to be like a Toyota or a Honda that you get 200,000-300,000 of relatively trouble-free miles of driving it. Could be okay though. Tanner K says, "Scotty, what do you think of the 2009 to 2013 Audi Q5 V6 with 150,000 miles? An endless money pit ready for you to jump into. Those are some of the most horrendous cars ever made as they age. They cost a fortune to repair. Years ago, I had a neighbor in Houston. He was a corporate lawyer. He made like 250 grand a year. He got rid of his Audi because he said it was an endless money pit and he couldn't stand it. Then he bought an Acura and they're totally happy with the Acura. So they're endless money pits. You buy one with that mileage, with a V6, you'll put a ton of money into that junker, I can guarantee you that." Edwin Gonzalez says, "Scotty, what do you think of an 04 Mitsubishi Eclipse?" All right, they're not the greatest cars in the world, but if you get them cheap enough, a guy brought me one the other day, and it was even older than that. It was like a 2000. He bought it for $800, and he's driving it all over the place. He uses it for an Uber. You get it cheap enough and it runs? What the heck? Now, if it's a standard transmission, they're actually quite well made and they're kind of fun to drive around. The automatics are a little bit on the weak side, but if you can get them cheap enough and they're low enough mileage, hey, you get a lot of years out of something, go right ahead. You're never going to get a Toyota or a Honda cheap, but you can get used Mitsubishis pretty cheap. Sleepy Dog says, "What about an 04 Ford Ranger in good shape?" Well, if it's not too high mileage and the price isn't too high, they can be excellent trucks. A lot of people buy used Rangers because if you look at a 2004 Toyota Tacoma, you'll probably find it will sell for 4 to 5 times the price of the Ford Ranger. And it probably won't last 4 to 5 times longer than the Ranger will. So you can often get a good price on a Ranger, and it can be a decent pickup truck for getting around it. They're not bad trucks. I had one over here the other day, had 180,000, original owner. It was 4-wheel drive. He used it to plow in Massachusetts, and it still runs good. So they can be good. Nickel Markham says, "Scotty, hi from Markham, Canada." Ontario. You should say Ontario. I went to school in Toronto. I have a 2019 4Runner, have rust-proofed it. However, do you suggest painting the frame with Rust-Oleum before rust-proofing next season? Thank you. No, I wouldn't waste my money. 2019, Toyota make them very well. They're zinc primed when they're built, when they go into that big bath of paint, and it's done electronically, so the zinc is even inside the frame. I wouldn't waste my time. They're well enough made that a 2019 was not going to have problems. If you want to, say, spray it every once in a while, some oil underneath to keep the salt off, go right ahead, but I wouldn't go through all that trouble of rust proofing it every year. They're pretty well made in 19. The old ones had rust problems. That was ages ago. Now they're made much better and they don't have that problem. Big Hurt 1989 says, what's your thoughts on an 09 Saturn Vue? Mine is XE all-wheel drive 3-liter V6, says 156,000 miles. Well, you own it and it runs? Keep driving it. The company doesn't exist anymore, but you're getting your money's worth out of it. Just keep taking care of it and drive it. They don't make them anymore. One of the reasons they don't make them anymore is because people don't maintain cars that well here in the United States. And if you didn't maintain them, they'd fall apart. But I have many customers that bought Saturns and love the cars because they took care of them and they got over 200,000 miles on them. Or they bought them used with like 120 for 800 bucks and drove them for 5 or 6 years and didn't have to put much money in them. They're not horrible vehicles. You got it, take care of it, who knows how long it'll last. I wouldn't buy another one unless you get a low mileage one cheap, but hey, you got it. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Old People Are Great says, what do you think of the new Toyota Venza? Well, I like the old Toyota Venza. Toyota Venza's new, so I can't say anything about it because who knows? Maybe they'll all break when they're 2 years old. I don't know. I don't expect that they will, but I don't analyze a car until it's been out at least 4 or 5 years. Then you get a good perspective of how they are. What problems do my customers have? What do I see happens to them? Do they have a lot of recalls? They're overpriced as far as I'm concerned. I'd never buy a new car and I'd certainly never pay that kind of money, but they look fine and everything. Toyota makes good products, but you can't really analyze them until they've been out a while. Homer Simpson says, hey Scotty, I'm thinking of getting a 2003 Crown Vic P71 retired police car with 127,000 kilometers for $3,000 Canadian. What do you think? Well, I would never do it in the United States because the police here drive like maniacs, beat the heck out of it and there's nothing left. But you've only got what? That's like what, 60-something thousand miles? That's not much. If you get a mechanic like me to check it out and say it's in decent shape, go ahead and buy it. But he might get in and say, man, they beat the heck out of this car, the tranny's going out, the engine's burning all, in which case I wouldn't buy it. And of course, being that you're in Canada, have a check for rust. If the frame and all the suspension's rusted, don't buy it. It's not worth it if it's rotting away. Solitude says, underbody rust prevention. Scotty, should I ask the dealership to spray the underbody of a car to prevent rust from forming? I'm not comfortable with having stuff sprayed all over the place. I have a 2020 Lexus ES350 and I'm worried. One, I wouldn't worry because those are so well made that the zinc rust preventative when they build them and they're electrostatically applied. My wife's 19-year-old Lexus has no rust on it. They don't actually rust that much anymore. They're well made. You don't really have to worry about it. Now let's say, I don't know where you live, right? Let's say you live around here, around Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts or something, right? Just what you want to do is rinse the salt off. I just got this cool thing that I'm giving to my son to try out because he lives in Massachusetts. It's a roller and it has a bunch of sprays heads on it. And you hook it up to your pressure sprayer and it rolls under the vehicle and it sprays up and rinses all the salt water off in the winter. Interestingly enough, a guy brought a Tahoe over here that he got from his father for free. It's like 16 years old, not rusting at all. He has one of those and that's what he does in the winter. They got a heated garage and he rolls it under there and rinses the salt off it. The main thing to do if you live where they put salt on the roads is rinse the stuff off so it doesn't corrode. That's the main thing. On a new car like that, don't waste your money on having stuff sprayed on. That's just a money maker for them to sell you crap. It's already well built enough in that Lexus, you don't have to worry about rust. That's not something you got to worry about because they're well made, but you do want to rinse the salt off of it whenever possible. Now, you see all this hoopla about Ford and American companies losing a bunch of their production because they don't have the chips, and you wonder, why doesn't Toyota? Well, there's two main reasons. One reason is Toyota pays its chip manufacturers in cash. So, of course, they're going to be first in line. Hey, if I'm running a business, one guy says, well, we'll pay you 6 months later, send us a bill, and Toyota that pays cash, a little bit different there. Plus, a lot of their chips come from Denso. Well, Denso's owned 25% by Toyota, and it's in Japan like Toyota is. So they got some good deals going on with their friends, right? It only makes sense. They were smart. They went local. They weren't like Ford that went the whole way to Japan. Then a factory went on fire, and then they're losing 50% of their production, they say, in the second quarter of the United States. Maybe they should pay their bills a little faster and have some cash on hand instead of having it all hidden away somewhere. Actually have it so you can invest in your company when needed. In a rainy day. They had a rainy day fund. Hey, the other people didn't. Look how it's working out. Toyota almost sold 1 million cars last month. They're smart. They keep it in-house, or at least in country. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.